Welcome to the Trading Sliders Podcast. Here we go, episode number 45 of the Trading Sliders Podcast. How's everybody doing out there? I'm Bobby Puckett. Not in studio with me today is Kurt the Flash Bennett, but on the Bandit Race Car Hotline, Jackson Barber, co-host, substitute. We appreciate you coming on, man. How you doing?
I'm doing good, Bobby. I just want to thank you for letting me come on today, and we're going to talk a little racing because we spent the weekend together, so we get to talk some good racing.
Yeah, you got to go on a couple racing trips with me this weekend. But before we get into all that, this week's guest of the show is Clayton Miller, 6-time track champion at Western Kentucky Speedway and Clarksville Motor Speedway, 2015 American Modified Series champion, over 500 feature wins. The Elkton, Kentucky racer, Clayton Miller, the racing preacher, on this week's deep dive. Our title sponsor of the show each and every week, Diesel Boys LLC. If you need any type of truck diesel work, reach out to Brandon Hooker and Diesel Boys. Our slider of the week, presented each and every week by Walt at Speed Decals. He's been a continuous sponsor since day one. Jackson may not be too happy with the slider of the week this week, but we had a hell of a race for the slider of the week. Our deep dive is being brought to you each and every week by Kentucky Clutch and Performance. If you need anything, farm tractor, trucks, cars, automotive, clutch work, reach out to Chris and them at Kentucky Clutch and Performance. And our crash of the week, we got a couple of them. One of them that we're going to talk about because we were there, and one of them that has taken the racing world by storm. But our crash of the week being brought to you each and every week by D.O. Handyman and Remodeling, 812-989-5002. If you need any type of handyman work done around the house in the Kentuckiana area, reach out to David at D.O. Handyman and Remodeling. And our racetrack spotlight being brought to you each and every week by JT's Trackside Catering. Jackson had some food from JT's Trackside Catering a few weeks ago at the Prairie Dirt Classic, so he can speak on it. But our racetrack spotlight being brought to you by my good friend Jeremy Thomas and JT's Trackside and Catering. Our hotline sponsor of the week. We don't do a whole lot of hotline stuff, but when we do, it's going to be presented by Bandit Race Cars because Jackson is the fill-in because Flash has got some family obligations today. So there's all that. We got through the spiel, Jackson. You want to try doing that? All the sponsors?
No, I think I'm going to let you stick to that. I'll just wait till we get to talk about all the good stuff, I think.
Okay.
But, you got a lot to remember and ramble off there pretty quick, and I don't know if I can do all that.
Yeah, well, I just get lucky sometimes, man. I just get lucky.
All right.
This week's news of the week. Sprint week is concluded, so we have a USAC Sprint Week champion. Some drama-filled sprint car races. Not drama in a bad thing, but drama in a good thing. Some exciting Sprint Week races. We're going to get into that. There were a few crashes. Drivers hurt. We're going to talk about that. And we have a new king atop of the big block modifieds. Then our weekend race trips. This weekend, Jackson and I were supposed to go to Clarksville Speedway on Friday night, and then Lake Cumberland Speedway on Saturday. Crossville Speedway got rained out. But racers race, as we say on the Trading Sliders podcast. So Jackson messaged me and said, "Hey, what's your plans for tonight?" And I said, "If you can get to Louisville in an hour, we're leaving to go to Bloomington." So we made a trip to Bloomington. So Jackson got to go see the real red clay racetrack. We'll talk about that. And then our trip down to Lake Cumberland Speedway for the Cumberland Plateau Open Wheel Modified Series, an instant classic. Like I said, Jackson's dad came up on the short side of the end, but nevertheless, it was an instant classic, and we're going to get into that. And late night at the racetrack, there's a couple series and divisions and tracks that did not do a timely manner this weekend, so we're going to bring that up. And then last but not least, we've got a streak that comes to an end, which is terrible, and, in the way that it did. We got a couple racetracks for sale that's kind of near and dear to Central Kentucky. That's where Jackson's located out of, so we're going to talk about that. So all that and much, much more on this week's Trading Sliders podcast. We're going to get started with the Racers Race until they can't. Justin Grant's streak came to an end. He went 9 years, 327 consecutive USAC national sprint car races. And, he broke his foot at Lawrenceburg Speedway in a sprint car wreck last Sunday night. And he tried to give it a go. He wouldn't let him put a cast on it. They put a soft cast with screws and plates and tried a handbrake, but he just wasn't very comfortable. But USAC Sprint car streak comes to an end, Jackson. What do you think about that? 9 years, 327 races without missing a show.
Oh, that's pretty impressive, and it's just crazy because, I mean, it takes a lot to do all that, and them sprint cars, they flip night in, night out, but they got enough cars and equipment that they can get it put back together. But, I mean, that's 9 years, that many races in a row, never missed one. It's pretty impressive, and he still did try to keep going, but he just, like you said, he didn't feel comfortable. Like when we went to Bloomington, I heard somebody in his merch trailer say that he just wasn't comfortable enough to drive it, but that's really impressive, and he's a really good driver, so I figured he would still try to give it a go.
Yeah, I mean, I was shocked that that he was going to give it a go because it was less than 24 hours after surgery. It was one of those things where I was like, God, I don't know. I mean, I'm all for racers race. I'm an advocate for that more than you'll ever know. But on the same token, I'm like, damn, that's pretty ballsy. So, but hope Justin Grant has a speedy recovery. They say surgery went well. They got him in a hard cast now, and so best wishes to Justin Grant. And also big time crashes this week, and we're going to talk about racetrack safety. But Stuart Friesen at Autodrome in Quebec, Canada. I know if you guys have been on any type of social media, you've seen that nasty, nasty crash. Thoughts and prayers to Stuart Friesen. They did a great job getting him out of the car to the hospital, and from what I've seen, it was an extensive deal to get him back to the United States because this wreck, this crash happened in Canada. They kind of got him medically sedated and transported him by ambulance to New York, and he had an extensive 12-hour surgery to get his pelvis and his hip and his leg. He had a compound fracture, bone sticking out of his legs, and it was a nasty, nasty wreck. But all things being said, thank God it wasn't worse. Because that was one of those wrecks that if we would have had this wreck 10 years ago, that would have been catastrophic.
Yeah, that was I woke up that next morning and I seen it on Facebook and I was like, holy cow, like it's just, good glory to God that, he's still here with us, and that shout out to, like you said, the track crew for getting him out and was able to get him back to the U.S. and get him in surgery. It's going to be a long recovery, but I think he's going to be all right.
Yeah, his wife put a thing out on Facebook. I seen last night during our long rain delay that we had that we're going to talk about. But his wife put a thing out on Facebook and said surgery's well. He's resting. It's going to be a long road, but I think they're going to meet with a physical therapist next week and start that recovery process. But we. Well wishes to Stuart Friesen, one of the top competitors in the big block modified scene. Speaking of big block modified scene, we're gonna give a hat tip real quick because we have a new king at the top of the big block modifieds. Matt Shepard won 2 races. The Canadian Tour. He won both features up there, and it's 101 Super Dirt Car Series Big Block Modified wins, passing the legendary Brett Hearn. So Brett the Jet Hearn moves to second on the all-time win list. So we're just gonna give a hat shake there to Superman Matt Shepard. But 100 wins on tour. How can you fathom that, Jackson?
That is hard to fathom. That's pretty impressive. 100 wins is it's not easy, and I don't know how long he's been running. He's always been a good driver, and I don't get to watch much big block modifieds, but when I see him, at Volusia and stuff, he's normally a front runner. So that is hard to fathom, but it don't surprise me because he is a really good driver.
Yeah, Superman. He's one of those guys. I've heard rumblings for a couple of years because Tim McCready was a big block modified guy, and Rick Fuller, and there's a lot of big block modified guys that made the jump over to late model racing, and I've heard it's been in the works for a while. But I think he's actually got a Longhorn late model, but I haven't seen him out anywhere in it. But I think there's rumors on the chopping block there that that Super Matt Shepard's going to go maybe some World of Outlaw racing here in the next near future. So be excited to see that if that all comes to fruition.
Oh, yeah, that was, even that, I think it was Demetrius Derelos, I'm pretty sure. he's got a late model now too, and but yeah, it'd be interesting. I mean, I'm sure it'll be a little bit of a curveball for him, but he's a good driver, and normally good drivers can get it figured out. So I would love to see him in a late model and see what he could do, because I think he could be a pretty good wheelman in a late model for sure.
Yeah, and I think the late model world's in for a treat when all these guys move up, especially from the big block modifieds and you got the Dustin Sorensens of the world and Jake O'Neill's now in the late model from the USMTS world. The Reaper Ryan Gustin, he's a modified racer that just scored big this weekend. There's a lot of guys coming from all aspects of modified racing that's actually at the top of the late model world right now. I mean, Ricky Thornton Jr. was probably one of the best modified drivers in the country before he made the jump. Modified guys seem to adapt very well to late models, and I think it has a lot to do with you have a lot of horsepower on narrow tires, and then once you get to the late models, you still have a lot of horsepower, but you got wide tires and cars that turn better, so it's just easier for them to get up on the wheel and drive it.
Yeah, I agree. You see a lot of these modified guys that go to late models, and honestly, some of them's better in a late model.
Because, you never would have thought that. I mean, but I seen a guy that was very, very limited in the modified success have a pretty successful late model career for a year or two. So we'll just say it that way. So sometimes the speed isn't as big of a factor as the stability of the car.
I agree. Yeah, it's surprising. No, I mean, it's a little bit surprising that they're better in a late model, but I hear a lot of people say that they think a late model is just a little bit easier to drive too, because they got them big tires, and the modified, I've heard from a lot of people say that the modified is the hardest car to drive in the pit area. So that's what I've heard for a long time.
That's what Tony Stewart said. So if Tony Stewart says that, I'm gonna take his word for it. So in our crashes that we had, Lawrenceburg had a nasty crash, but it was nothing to do with racetrack safety. It was just on a restart. But the Stuart Friesen crash, he hit a pit point at the end of the backstretch. Without a backstretch wall, there are some major safety concerns that I'm still shocked that we are in year 2025 and we're talking about pit points or catch fences. A few weeks ago down Sonoya, we had a car come through the catch fence. Last night at Lake Cumberland Speedway in the Pro Late Model B main, we just about had a car come through the catch fence. Racetrack safety needs to be addressed. I understand sometimes it takes a lot of money to fix certain things, but on the same token, I mean, everybody's life is in danger when you go to certain racetracks, and that's just drivers have always just accepted it. But I think we need some safety work around some of the racetracks, especially locally, Jackson. It's like Lake Cumberland Speedway. There's a few safety issues, at that racetrack where I'm thinking, man, I'm glad that things don't go bad, more often.
Yeah, I agree. Safety. I mean, you got to keep these people safe. Not only the drivers, but the track staff members, the fans. I mean, there's always people, like at Lake Cumberland last night, I didn't see it, but I did walk up to it. Like, there's always people that stand right in that pit entrance and right on the wall and entering turn one, and that dude come right through there, and you just never know if he was to get over that wall and hit somebody. And I mean, it's just a bad risk you take for racetrack safety, and I think that it for sure needs to be, I don't know how to word this, like they need to step it up.
It needs to be addressed. It needs to be addressed.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
I know you didn't see that because you guys were back there getting the car ready for for the modified feature. Well, I say getting the car ready. He was texting me 100 times. So I don't know how much work he was actually doing. But that was really close to being another Sonoya incident. That was really close to being another Ponderosa incident like we had last year at Ponderosa. It was really close to being very bad. Fortunately, it wasn't. And same thing that we said about Sonoya a few weeks ago. Fortunately, it wasn't as bad as it could have been. We just need to do better as fans, as promoters, as racetrack personnel. We just need to put ourselves in better positions and not just hope it doesn't happen. We need to put ourselves in positions where stuff can't happen. So that's just one thing that I don't want to spend a whole lot of time on it, but because there's plenty of stuff that needs to be addressed at the racetrack, and we try to do positive podcasting here, so we don't want to dwell on too much. But that's just something that we need to look into. If you got a racetrack facility and, you got sharp edges, or you got sketchy catch fences, or you got fans that walk across the track. Like last night, we had a fan walk across the track as qualifying was starting. We got to have better personnel, better issues, so stuff doesn't get out of control.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And yeah, like you gotta be aware of stuff that can happen, like you said, not just hope for the best, because anything can happen. Just like last night, that could have easily been a lot worse than it was, and thankfully it wasn't, but that could have been a lot worse.
So on to the next topic. And this one is one that I may make some people upset on this, but just hear me out. I'm going to give you the pros and cons of why things happen and why things don't. And it's just my opinion. If you got a problem with it, I'm sorry. But if you agree, more power to you on that also. But we've had some very, very late night at the races here recently. And sometimes if you have a weather issue, like Fairbury last week, you were at Fairbury, it rained. They did what they could do to get that. That's a different story than just having a rough night, because you were there. They tried to move the show along as best they could, but you had so many people there in a crown jewel event, and you have to get it in. So I understand that, but just last night, 3 racetracks just last night alone. Kokomo Speedway ran their $100,000 to win front wheel drive compact main event at 3:30 this morning. The modified feature rolled off at Thunder Mountain Raceway at 3 o'clock this morning. At 1 o'clock last night, we were wrapping up our feature 1 o'clock in the morning at Lake Cumberland Speedway. Guys, we have to do better. I mean, we just have to. I'll start with Lake Cumberland last night, because we were both there, so we can both, talk on this. Well, we wasn't at the Kokomo event, but I followed along and watched, so I have an opinion on that as also. And, we also wasn't at Thunder Mountain, but I know a lot of people that was. Logan Walls ran 4th last night in the late model race, and then hightailed it over to Thunder Mountain and started on the tail of the crate feature. And we were running behind at Lake Cumberland, so that tells you how far they were behind over there. But so last night at Lake Cumberland, we have a rain delay. We had good car count, but we had a rain delay. Rain delay was roughly 45 minutes to an hour long, Jackson?
Yeah, it was a pretty good while, actually.
Yeah, the rain delay was probably, we'll say an hour, just so the numbers are even here. We don't got to do any sketchy math. So the rain delay, it was about a 30-minute rain delay. Took about 30 minutes to get the track back together. Hats off to all the drivers that came out and rode the track in, because without you, we'd probably still be there. But hats off to that. So the support classes, because you had 2 touring series. We had the Cumberland Plateau Open Wheel Modified Series, and we had the American Racing All-Stars, or All-American All-Stars Pro Late Models. $5,000 and $2,000 to win. So we had these events at the racetrack. You had 3 support classes: Crown Vics, Hobby Stocks, and front wheel drives. After the rain came, they were about to start the first Crown Vic heat race. So after the rain came, it put us an hour behind. So the racetrack did something good, I'm going to say, because they took the Crown Vics, the Hobby Stocks, and the front wheel drives, and said, guys, since everybody qualified, we're just going to start and run a feature only to save time. That's what you're supposed to do, because it was already 11 o'clock. So we had the crate late model B main to run. Pro late model. Joseph's going to kill me if he listens to this. He hates when I call his cars crate late models. But the pro late model B main, we had that roll out, 8-lap race that turned into a half-hour fiasco, because we just talked about a car almost going in the stands. So it took 30 minutes to run. It didn't take 30 minutes to run the race. It took about 3 minutes to run the race, but it took 30 minutes to get the car out of the catch fence and all that good stuff and get him towed off the track. So the race director, Tim Taylor, up there said, hey, what we're going to do is we're going to take the crate late models, Actually, they're crate late models. All right, we're gonna take the crate late models, push them back a race, and we're gonna run the Cumberland Plateau Open Modified feature first, then bring the crate late models out, and then go on just like the show would planned, which sounded like an excellent idea since we were already an hour and 30 minutes behind. And a decision was made from the power ups. Wasn't neither one of the series. So if you got a problem with the way things went, don't reach out to us. But we took an intermission last night at, was it midnight? Roughly midnight.
It was pretty
11:30. Yeah. We took an intermission.
11:30.
Yeah, we took an intermission and came back to racing after midnight, when we could have already ran another. Actually, we could have ran almost 2 features because the Cumberland Plateau Open Wheel Modified feature, it was 11 minutes and 37 seconds as I'm looking at the results sheet right here. And 9 minutes of green flag racing, but 2 cautions, but 11 minutes and 37 seconds. So we could have got that done, and we could have got the Crown Vic feature done, or started the pro late model race. Instead, it pushed everything back behind, and we got out of the racetrack. It was, I think when I left the racetrack last night, it was 1:30. So because we had a protest and all kinds of other fun stuff that we're going to get into when we talk about our trip to Lake Cumberland. So
Yeah.
we're going to have to get through races a lot quicker. But I will say this, Lake Cumberland was ahead of schedule before the rain came. Before the rain came, we had 3 heat races left, a B main and feature time. But taking a half-hour intermission after a half-hour cleanup on the track after an hour rain delay is just absolutely absurd. That is something that you just do not do. And the same token, last night at Thunder Mountain Raceway, Thunder Mountain had they had over 119 cars. Drivers meeting was supposed to start at 6:30. Cars are supposed to hit the track at 7 o'clock. Jackson, you want to do your best bet? Tell me what time the first hot lap session started.
I'm gonna guess 8:30.
Yeah, close. 8:15. Because the line getting up to the hill, they couldn't get all the fans and cars in the racetrack in a timely manner. And guess what time the final feature ended last night?
No telling, probably 4 o'clock or
4:30
after that. Golly.
4:30. So
Dude, I was asleep at 4:30.
yeah, well, that's what time I was going to sleep after my 3-hour drive home. So
Yeah.
that's what time.
Well, we're a little bit closer than you.
Yeah, that's what time I got home last night. 4:30. But so the races, the cars hit the track at 8:30. So 8 hours to run a 5-division program at a racetrack. That is uncalled for.
Yeah, that is a long time for 5 divisions.
That is uncalled for. So these racetracks have got to do better. People complain about the fan attendance being down, and we know Clarksville Speedway is closing down, and Brandon Hargrove made an announcement that Lake Cumberland Speedway is for sale, and basically what he was saying after the Harold Hargrove Memorial, he's basically just going to shut the track down if it don't sell. That's how I took it. How'd you take it at the drivers' meeting, Jackson?
It was weird because you never know, because like we talked about working at Burger King or something, but yeah, I was told that he was going to finish out the year, but that's just hearsay.
Yeah.
But
no, we were standing there at the drivers' meeting, and to me, it doesn't look very promising.
No, absolutely not. It does not, but you never know, and like he said, he could have a change of heart, and I hope he does, because I will brag on his service, because every time this year he's worked on his track, and the track has been pretty good all year. I'll give him credit, and I hope he has a change of heart, and he stays in the business, because I really do think he is. I don't think he's doing a bad job at all. I think he's doing his job pretty well.
Well, I'm going to cut you off right there, because for all the negative that Brandon Hargrove catches, and a lot of it is justified, because sometimes he does stuff that shouldn't, quite frankly, be done. But he does work his tail off on the racetrack, and he does work his tail off, having a nice, clean facility. Now, is the way the way that he runs the show and taking intermissions and dragging the show out sometimes, that's a negative, 100%. But the racetrack, both events that the Cumberland Plateau Oval Modified Series have been there have been two really good races. So I will not complain about that. I'm not a big fan of getting home when the sun comes up, but that's something that has to be justified. But he has done a good job with the racetrack this year. So that's all we're going to talk about on that. But we're going to get into our weekend race trips. And so USAC Indiana Sprint Week came to a conclusion. We're going to do a quick Sprint Week rundown. First off, congratulations to Kevin Thomas Jr. out of Coleman, Alabama, for picking up the USAC Indiana Sprint Week title. $25,000 for a week's worth of race in Jackson. That doesn't sound too bad at all.
No, it don't sound bad at all.
So USAC Indiana Sprint Week, we covered part of it last week. We're going to get into the second part. Sunday night at Lawrenceburg, Logan Seavey picked the win up from 6th. Logan Seavey, we just flat out gassed it up on the cushion. Absolute phenomenal race at Lawrenceburg. And then Tuesday night, Briggs Danner picked up the win at the Kokomo Speedway. Former guest, Briggs Danner, picking up the win at Kokomo Speedway on a last lap thriller. It could have been the slaughter of the week. It was probably going to be the slaughter of the week until we talk about the modified race at Lake Cumberland. But Briggs Danner stood on the gas, ripped the cushion, past Robert Valou, coming to the line in turns 3 and 4. Briggs Danner is going to be a little hot shoe, isn't he, there?
I watched him at Bloomington, and that dude can flat out wheel. He had a bad qualifying effort. He was off the track, and he didn't have a very good night at Bloomington. But that dude, he's going to be a wheel man for sure. You can just tell that he can drive, and he's going to be really good.
Yeah, he races every lap like it's the last lap he's ever going to sit in a race car. The kid is absolutely phenomenal. And then Wednesday night, Circle City Raceway, C.J. Leary took the win. Been his first win C.J. Leary picked up in quite some time since he took over the ride at Team AZ Racing. And this was a last lap thriller too, because CV just about turned down the hill and got Leary at the line there at Circle City. Jackson, what do you miss that Kentucky tracks don't have that Indiana tracks have?
The cushion. Bobby showed me a video Friday when we was at Bloomington, and at Circle City there was qualifying, and that ain't no fluff in Kentucky. That is a mean cushion, and if you hit it wrong, there's no telling what can happen. And
it will reach out and get you.
Oh, it will. That'll bite you for sure. But that is that cushion at Circle City was gnarly. Yeah, for sure.
Zach Porzingis took a nasty one in qualifying, cleared the racetrack up out of the ballpark, but luckily he was okay. Thursday night, Chase Stockton and Robert Valou went ham on each other. I mean, absolutely throwing haymakers at the Terre Haute Action Track. They raced a big half mile, which is close to 5/8 of a mile around the outside, and Chase Stockton was running the outside. They raced it like they was at the Chili Bowl, just throwing haymakers on each other, and Chase Stockton picked up a win with a broken hand because he broke his hand back at Indianapolis Motor Speedway, the opening night of Sprint Week. So over a week later, Chase Stockton took the win over Robert Valou in an absolute amazing race. I mean, it was absolutely amazing. Did you get to see any of the Terre Haute Action Track?
I didn't. I didn't get to see any of it, but all I knew that was Stockton won, but no, I didn't get to see any of that race.
All right, well, we'll just scratch right on that. Good. I'm glad you did homework for this week, Jackson. Oh, man. Actually, I'm going to give Jackson a break. Jackson knew he was coming on the show about 10 minutes before we did it. So,
you got to give me a little leeway. Yeah. I need a little leeway.
Yeah, but he can talk about the next one because Friday night, night number 1 of our weekend race trip, we went to Bloomington Speedway, 44 cars. Logan Seavey took the win over Kevin Thomas Jr. and Chance Crum. First and foremost, Jackson, it's been a while since you've been to Bloomington Speedway. What do you think about the improvements that they've done with the racetrack?
I was pretty sure we was talking about it, and the last time I was there was 2019. And the track was a lot better Friday night when we went. It was, man, they raced all over it. It was pretty impressive. I mean, shoot, the C main was even good. You know what I mean? It was just a great night of racing.
Have you seen that many fans at a race that wasn't the World 100 or the Prairie Dirt Classic before?
Oh, well, I've never been to too many big sprint car races like that. I've been to the Kings Rule once or twice, but the hillside, they actually posted a video on Facebook, and that didn't even do it justice.
Yeah, because it didn't even show. It didn't show the right side. It just showed the left side.
Yeah, it didn't even show the right side. The right side was up to the bathroom.
Yeah,
and it was crazy how many fans. I mean, you could definitely tell they didn't want to sit where we was because we was on the bottom row. But it ended up being all right. Besides, one guy decided to come off the track over there off turn 4 and decided to gas it up and dust everybody. So other than that, it wasn't too bad.
Yeah. So Jackson, he decided that he was not gonna buy a Kyle Shipley T-shirt. Kyle Shipley is not. Jackson is not a fan of the OG Kyle Shipley because as he came off the track, he gassed it up and pelted us. But that's part of sitting on the bottom row. But honestly, sitting on the bottom row of Bloomington, there was no dust. We didn't get dusty sitting on the bottom row, so that was good.
Yeah, no, we didn't. Actually, I was surprised, but we never really ever got dirty. Like I didn't even have to put any glasses on, so I was pretty impressed with that.
Yeah, Bloomington Speedway. But we was there for D.O. Handyman's Crash of the Week, and Kyle Drake took an absolutely nasty dinger. Car biked up in turns 3 and 4 and pogoed off the left rear, got about 10 to 15 feet in the air, barrel rolled 4 or 5 times, hit the ground, barrel rolled another 2, almost landed in our lap. But Kel Drake took an absolute nasty one. Jackson, that's the first time you've seen a sprint car flip that close to you, wasn't it?
Yeah, we was watching. It was during the heat races, and
heat race number 4.
Off the corner. Yeah, heat race number 4, and he biked up, and when he come down, he flipped off the track, and it was really close, and I was like, holy smokes! And it was a pretty gnarly one for real. He flipped a good amount of times, but they all got over there to him, and I don't know if he ended up having a concussion or anything like that, but I know he didn't race anymore that night, so I don't know whatever happened to him.
Well, he didn't race. He went to the hospital. CT scans came back good, but he went to the hospital, got checked out. Everything was well, just a little beat up and sore. But they got the car out last night, and he those non-wing sprint car racers are some of the baddest dudes in America. He raced last night, beat up, bruised, but hats off to Kel Drake. I know Robert Valou's not a real big fan of his. But Kel Drake is another guy that drives the absolute wheels off the car, runs as hard as he can. I want to give a shout out though to Gunnar Setzer, the young kid out of Columbus, Indiana. He is gonna be the next big thing out of the state of Indiana. Mark my words. August. What is today's date? August 3rd. August 3rd, 2025. The Trading Sliders podcast calls it. Gunnar Setzer absolutely is a phenomenal race car driver, and a 410 non-wing. He runs a midget, came up in the micro sprint ranks, runs just about every type of open wheel race car. But that kid can flat out drive a race car, can't he, Jackson?
Yeah, he's pretty impressive. He's a gasser for sure. But Bobby was like, yeah, he's about your age, and I was like, there's no way,
Yeah.
But he really is. But that dude, I'm gonna say he's a kid. He's my age. But
yeah.
He is really impressive, and I agree with Bobby. He's gonna be really good one day for sure.
Yeah, I mean he was making moves because he had to run the B main because he had a flat in his heat race. If he didn't have a flat in the heat race, and there was some flat tire issues that some people complained about, but man, as good as the racetrack was, they got to get the rocks out of it. Let's not complain too much. It was a good race for the fans.
I'm gonna say one thing about that. They was just trying to find something to complain about because the racing was phenomenal all night.
And we sit on the bottom row. Did you get hit with a rock?
I never got scraped.
Yeah,
with
me neither.
anything. So,
And we sit on the
yeah.
bottom row coming out of turn 4 where they're on the cushion throwing stuff towards us. So I don't know where the rock complaints came from.
Yeah, me either. But I guess if some people had a bad night, I guess they wanted to blame it on something. So that's all right, I guess.
Bloomington Speedway is it's creeping up in Jackson's top 5 favorite. He told me, he said, "Man, I love this place. We got sprint cars, which I'm changing him. Your dad, Brian, if you're listening, Jackson's becoming more of a sprint car guy now. But he said we got sprint cars. We had a nasty flip. We had track prep after hot laps, track prep after qualifying, and we had soft serve ice cream. So Jackson was in race car heaven Friday night, wasn't you?"
Yeah, and the racing was really good, but I'm not sure that soft serve ice cream wasn't just as good as the racing. That swirl ice cream I had was pretty good, so I'm definitely not going to complain about that. And they worked the track all night, made sure it was good, and yeah, it was a great race for sure.
Yeah, it was a fun trip, and I'm glad Jackson got to ride up there with us. And I almost forgot to mention, speaking of new race fans, shout out to our buddy John and Jacob Doyle for making the drive to Bloomington Speedway Friday night when John got off work. They come up there and hung out with us. They are new to the dirt racing world. They've been to dirt races throughout the time over the years, but they're predominantly pavement fans, and me and Jackson was kind of talking. It's kind of funny when you're watching new fans, but when Jackson said, look, he's pointing down there because, they're looking at the big slide jobs. Jackson, I'm going to tell a little story on you. I looked over at you one time when Logan Stevie threw a slider, and you gassed up in the seat yourself. You was leaned over doing the same thing, so it's kind of funny.
Yeah, I mean, it really is, and I don't go to a lot of sprint car races, so they throw big bombs, and yeah, I mean, I feel like I'm driving sometimes.
Yeah.
So it feels pretty awesome.
Yeah, I seen you sawing on the wheel there one time. I thought you were going to try to get the lead coming off the bottom, but it just didn't work out for you.
No, I didn't. I pulled her back pit side.
And then Saturday, we made our way down to Lake Cumberland Speedway for the American Racing All-Stars. $5,000 to win. Cumberland Plateau, $2,000 to win. The American Racing All-Star Pro Late Model feature. Jackson, did you get to watch most of the feature or not?
Oh, I watched the entire thing.
Oh, okay. All right. Because what a race in the Pro Late Model race, the American Racing All-Stars. Skylar Muller started 9th and took the win. But Jeff Watson started 18th and ran 2nd, and Ryan Smith started 19th and ran 3rd. An incredible race. Kind of sucked for size. There was a restart, and some people were saying he's brake checking. Some people were saying he was slow dragging. I'm not going to say neither here nor there. I know the car biked up in the left rear. Like he got on the brakes and then he got turned, but did the car bike up because the guy behind him lifted his tires up? I don't know, but we had a melee on the front stretch with 5 laps or 9 laps to go that it changed the outcome of the race, but I don't know if it really changed the outcome of the race because Marler done ran him down and done had him passed one time when the caution came out. So what do you think about the Craig Late Model race there at Lake Cumberland Speedway? Because it was a good one.
Yeah, it was really good, and Skylar, has made as many laps around there as anybody, and he didn't start the night out very good, but I seen him creeping on that bottom, and he made his way past Nicholas Bird, and he got behind Zach Seiss and Tyler Arlington in the 002, I think was his number.
Yeah, 002.
And, well, they was running a little lower. Well, Skylar decided it was time to rip the fence. Well, he got going, and he finally got past the 002, and him and the 9 car was having a heck of a race, going back and forth. And I think the 9, he was pretty good, but I think he was doing a lot just to hold on. I hate that restart jumbled them all up because that was going to be a good finish, I think. But I think Skylar was going to eventually get him, but I wish we could have seen the outcome.
Yeah, it was, the fans were robbed of a good finish. I mean, it was a good race, but we were robbed of an instant classic finish. But don't worry, because we got a good finish coming up.
Yeah.
But yeah, hats off to Jay Watt and Ryan Smith. And what I liked about it was Marler was doing it on the top and Watson was doing it on the bottom. So the track was in tip-top shape. Started to maybe take a little bit of rubber on the last few laps. But I know the modifieds, when they started out, they're really it took rubber the last 5 laps of the modified race, I would say. But the first 20 laps of the modified race, the track was about perfect, in my opinion. But we had 24 mods. If you look on my race pass and you see Blake Brown 1, Brian Barber 2nd, Colton Profit 3rd, and no arrows next to their name, you'll say, well, that was a boring race. That's why
it was not boring.
That's why you have to go to the racetrack, because the results doesn't always tell the story. Cumberland Plateau Modified Series Race of the Year between Brian Barber and Blake Brown, throwing haymakers. Brian Barber led 23 and a half laps, or 24 and a half laps, and just Barber was on the top, Brown was on the bottom, and just going at it. I think Blake almost got him one time, and they got in lap traffic. And your dad made a quick move, a brace move up to the outside of turn 1 and 2, because it looked like he was a sitting duck coming off turn 3 when he caught lap traffic. But your dad made a brace move, and him and Blake threw sliders on each other. And then when Blake passed your dad when he got into traffic there, your dad just got tight in traffic and kind of screwed up his corner entry, and it messed up his entry, messed up the center, and messed up coming off. And Blake threw the slider on him and, coming to the checker flag. But what a phenomenal race. Slider of the week this week, being brought to you by Walden Speed Decals, as much as Jackson was wanting to throw something at me. Slider of the week this week goes to Blake Brown for picking up the Cumberland Plateau Oval Modified race on a last lap pass there at Lake Cumberland Speedway. But it was an instant classic, Jackson.
Man, it was well, I didn't like the outcome, but it was it was absolutely a good race, and congrats to Blake. Man, that's why I like my dad racing with Blake, because they always race hard, and it was clean. My dad said one time they touched one time coming off 2. Blake threw it in there and left my dad. He was leaving him room, and my dad said he come off the top, and they just made a little bit of they just touched just a little bit, but that's racing, and it was absolutely a phenomenal race, and 2 very clean drivers and 2 very good drivers just going at it really hard. And Blake's a great driver, and he was just there when he needed to be, and he was able to make the pass, come to the white flag, and my dad crossed him back over, and he could have threw the slider and did him pretty dirty, but my dad wouldn't do that, and Blake didn't do that either. So it was a good race, and Blake was able to come out with the win. My dad ran second, and yep, it was a heartbreaker. I was pretty upset, but it's all right, and it's just how it happened. But it was a great race, and if you didn't like that race, you're not gonna like very many races.
Yeah, that's it. That's exactly right. And not to mention why Blake and Brian were going at it. Colton Profit coming from about a straightaway behind and ran them down. And if it would have been a 30-lap race, the way things are going, Colton Profit may have had a shot there. I mean, because it was just an absolute great race. It was one of those races. It was an instant classic. As I said on the broadcast, get the chicken flavored ramen noodles out, because we got an instant classic here at the Lake Cumberland Speedway. It was a really good race. We did have a protest after the race. I've had people reach out to me and ask, who did the protest? Well, I'm going to tell you what I know about the protest, because I call things how we see it. UMP rules state that a protest must be turned in before the race, and the protest must be turned into the racetrack or per series. When the cars pulled onto the track for the feature, a protest was turned in. Series director Matt Barrett was in the infield because that's where the scales was at. And the driver that turned the protest in turned it into the racetrack, just like he was supposed to do. Paid his protest money, protested the ignition box, and per Cumberland Plateau Oval Modified Series rules, We honored the protest, and the ignition box has been sent off to MSD, and we will have an update later in the week. Who turned the protest in? I'll be honest, I don't really know yet, because all this was happening at 1:30 in the morning. Matt said, we've had a protest turned in. We need to get the ignition box off. And so we were busy. Let's just say that, making sure, first step of the protest was, make sure the ignition box numbers match said ignition box that's deemed legal by UMP. Part number 1 of the protest proceeded with passing. So part number 2 is now it will be sent off to MSD and get checked. And the way the protest works, the guys put up the protest money. If the box comes back illegal, everybody's will be compensated and changed per position. If the box comes back legal, Blake Brown will get part of the protest money that was put up. I don't know exactly what the protest money was. For some reason, I'm thinking it's $500 or $700, and Blake Brown will get half if the box comes back legal. And if it comes back illegal, then Blake will forfeit winnings and points and all that stuff. So, but with that being said, that's how the protest went down, and that's just part of racing. It keeps people honest. I know Jackson made a post that I agree with. About traction control and working on your car and get better, but just as a series, we did what we had to do per protocol. Just like a few weeks ago, we had a disqualification over illegal tires. We do tech. We tech cars thoroughly. There's a long process that goes into it. So if another competitor feels like he's getting beat by a legal device, it's our job to make sure that their mind is at ease. But as a fan who sit there and watch the race, that wasn't an advantage of a race car that won. That was just 2 guys experiencing the slick that was going forwards, just as a fan. So, but we'll see. That's why we have rules. We'll check them, and hopefully everything comes back right, or if it don't, we'll go from there. So, what's your thought on that, Jackson?
Well, I'm not gonna say something that I'm gonna regret saying, because I could say something not very nice. But the reason I really made that post was because I don't like anybody to call my dad or even Blake a cheater, because I know both, especially my dad. My dad works his tail off, night in, night out in the shop, works hard at what he does, and he's worked hard enough that we've been able to pick up a few wins this year, and we've been competitive everywhere we've been. And I understand if people think they're getting, if people think we're cheating, that's fine. Like my dad and Blake said after the race last night, check us, it don't matter. Whatever we need to do, we'll do. And but I don't know for sure who did it. I got a pretty good idea, but I'm not gonna say names. But yeah, if that's what they think they needed to do, that's fair. But I think my dad and Blake both work hard on their stuff, and they've worked hard enough that they're able to be up front. And so that's just my opinion, but I hope everything goes good, and I ain't gonna say too much.
No, I understand, and that's kind of like me doing the podcast. I'm in a bad spot because we as a series, we are trying to enforce rules and be the most competitive modified series in the country. And on my end, I think we are doing a phenomenal job with the hand that we are dealt. With the where we race at and how guys support and don't support stuff in certain areas. I think for the most part we are going in the right direction as a series. We do tire samples. We check body rules. We check pull bars. We check everything. So going forwards. If somebody feels like, and here's the thing about the protest too, that if you think that's what you're getting beat by, and you want to spend the $500 or $700 to get it sent off and tested to have your mind clear and to be right, right of mind, more power to you. You know what I'm saying? That's why rules are designed. But blatantly just say somebody's cheating, that's kind of, that goes a little far in my eyes. But that's just part of racing, man. That's just it's always been like that, always will be like that. But that's why we have rules, to make sure everybody abides by them. So I wanted to give a shout out to the Reaper, Ryan Gustin, for picking up $100,000 to win a race at the USA Nationals. And Mike Marlar went 16th to 2nd, and Hudson O'Neill went 15th to 3rd in that race at Cedar Lake. Absolute phenomenal racetrack. Race all over the place. But so shout out to the Reaper, Ryan Gustin. Actually, Gustin doubled down. He picked up 2 wins last week. One down the other Wilmot Raceway Monday, and the Reaper, Ryan Gustin, picked up the win there. So that's about it. Anything you want to say before we get off here and check out the interview from this week's deep dive guest of Clayton Miller out of Upton, Kentucky. 500 feature wins, 2015 American Modified Series champion, 6 track championships between the Western Kentucky Speedway and the Clarksville Speedway in Tennessee. He's won late model, street stocks, modifieds, B-mods. If they race them in circles, Clayton Miller has won in them. That's this week's guest. But you got anything else before we hop off here and get into that, Jackson?
No, that's it. I've said all I needed to say, and appreciate you letting me come on and do this again. And, we had a fun weekend, and we've seen a lot of good racing, so I appreciate that for sure. So.
Anytime, my man. But I appreciate you coming on and sitting in on this, Jackson, and we're going to get off here. And this week's Deep Dives being brought to you by Kentucky Clutch and Performance. It's time for the Trading Sliders Deep Dives presented by Kentucky Clutch and Performance. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. On this week's Trading Sliders Deep Dive, we have the Elkton, Kentucky racer who, first off, we're standing here in the trailer sweating or what's off because it's beyond hot. But Clayton Miller, thank you for coming on, man.
Absolutely, brother. It's an honor.
We're down here in I keep saying South Alabama, but we're in North Alabama,
right.
But it's South for us because that's where we're located out of.
Absolutely.
Down here for this big $10,000 win modified race. But most importantly, though, we try to bring you guys this stuff from on the road and their habitat. And we are in Clayton Miller's habitat right now, back here in the woods, just like being back home in Kentucky.
Oh, yeah.
We always start out with a tough question on our show, just to kind of break the ice.
Sure.
I'm going to go a different route with you because it's not a tough question because it's in your faith. But how in the world do you be a preacher and a racer? Because that usually doesn't go together a whole lot.
Oh man, you just it's like anything in life. It's a balance, and you prioritize everything. And I know that's most people haven't seen me out much racing, and we're really my mindset's changed and more focused to that aspect than it is this. So we're been able to race just a little bit, but it is a balancing act, and I want to make sure that I give ample time for where it's needed, and that's why we kind of don't focus a lot of racing a lot, because I don't get to focus a lot working on the car. So we try to pick and choose some good races and set aside times for that, and so I prepare prepare things for church and prepare the cars way ahead of time, most of the time, to be able to get us through the weekend into Sunday morning.
Right. And the main reason that I say that doesn't go together because it makes me sound like I'm casting a bad spell in the racing community, but there's so much competitiveness in racing, and we're going to talk about the evolve of modified racing, late model racing, because you've been through it. You've been doing this 25 years?
27.
27. I was close.
Yeah,
I was close.
Yeah.
Because, this is going to kind of date us a little bit, but I remember going to like the original Toilet Bowl back when you were young. The racing community, the way it all works out, people come together from all different aspects. But what I want to focus on here with you is the evolution of dirt racing, because you come from Western Kentucky. You got track championships at some of the hardest places to run, as in Western Kentucky and Evo. You got long straightaways, tight corners, and then you jump over to Clarksville Speedway. It's like racing in my backyard.
Sure. Yeah.
So how do you balance, I'm going to run a big track tonight, small track, because it's, where you're at, as far as modified racing, it's not really a hotbed. You got a lot of traveling, and it's a big difference.
Right. Yeah, it's, I think that's one thing that helped me evolve as a racer. Being able to go to different tracks with different configurations, completely different dirts. Red clay, hardcore gripped up, to a sandy, I call it reclaimed dirt from coal mines, and racing on that. But and you race them different as well. But I think that helped me evolve as a racer, to be better, to be able to travel out and adapt to each surface and track condition.
Well, you've run everything. Super late model, crate late model. Well, I remember being a crate late model for a year or two. Open modifieds, a B mod type thing. The evolution of dirt racing,
right?
Dirt cars, because you're a low budget guy. You're like us. You're not rolling in here with stackers and toters. You're a guy that comes in and, okay, I got to make this work. I got to justify it. Where do you see racing going and to where it's come? Because we're not. People think we're really healthy right now.
Right.
I think the fan base is healthy, but I think the business side of it is nowhere near as healthy.
Absolutely. Well, I look back. I started dabbling in '96, '97. Started racing, and I remember back in Clarksville Speedway. Then they would have 40 to 50 street stocks on a regular night, racing for $100.
Yes.
And they would have double features every night.
And happy to be racing for $100.
I'm telling you, like they was racing for 10,000 every night. And but I can remember then to where we're at now, and how. And I get it. It's tough on everybody. It's tough on the racer. It's tough on the promoters. It's tough on even the fans coming in, because it's so much more expensive now. And as a racer, I see it, that the pricing of things going so high up, and I get it. The tracks can't pay maybe what they was. That's why we, us as a team, we try to focus on better paying events. What kind of get a little bit of justify going to race, but. And it's nothing wrong with anybody. Everybody's got their own hobby, what they like to do, and good. But to me, I see things are getting so expensive that just people can't do it anymore. Your local normal weekend warrior, that would come in and race. That guy, it's even hard for him just to race, much less compete. And so that to me, the pricing of things have kind of got a little bit out of hand. That's why I really like and I'm not giving a shout out to Crusoe or anything like that, but I do like how they have adapted to a little bit of the cost effectiveness of it, and went to the 602 motor, went to a 3-link suspension, sealed shocks, things that are not maybe necessarily half the price of others, but definitely cheaper, and it makes more things streamlined, and I think it makes the racing better. I mean, we can look throughout the heat races in these 60 cars or 50 cars that we have.
Right.
I mean, first place to 20th, you're looking at a 10th or two.
Yeah.
And so it's so competitive. But and I've seen it involve in that, and like we've been running part of the street stock stuff. I mean, that's one of my favorite classes. I mean, the pay's real good, and between it and the 3-link B-mod stuff, I mean, they're neck and neck, because they're so competitive. I think it makes the driver shine more or less than some
It's not all
the parts on the car.
Yeah, it's not all equipment. And NASCAR, I'll be honest with you, I talked to some guys from NASCAR that was years ago, and NASCAR has literally come into dirt racing and messed it up. Because it's literally pushed the weekend guy out, the guy that tries to race, and work a job, to push it over into guys like, every track had late models, 15, 20 late models.
Right.
Now, I mean, you might go and now have a few here and there, but most people don't even run late models. If you're not a traveling series guy, or at least a really good guy to run, some of the other series, you're non-existent.
Well, I mean, you can't take a $100,000 race car and race for $100. And I mean, that's true. Just justifying it can't be done.
Right.
And we work for the Cumberland Plateau Series, and we're a small guy on the pecking order by all means, but we try to justify the pay and put events together where guys can run 2 nights.
Sure.
To cut down on travel.
Absolutely.
And we understand where we are, and you're kind of in the same token. We're in a late model country, and we're all running modifieds.
Right.
So we kind of got to understand where we are in the pecking order anyways.
Right.
But with that being said, we're trying to evolve our sport. But we've seen the sport evolve so much where guys like you, I don't know how much longer you guys are going to do it.
Right.
And the next batch of kids, they don't know nothing. Like as we walked up, you're putting your body on, you're doing the work. They just buy parts and replace them.
Absolutely.
So I mean, I don't know how long we're going to sustain what we're doing.
Well, it's going to be one of them things that I look out throughout the pits, and you know, I guess, you know, I'm a middle-aged guy compared to, but even there's not a whole lot of young racers coming up. There are some, but it goes back to what you said. Those guys, I mean, I remember when I started, man, it's actually a pro street. It's like a street stock, but they let you run a 3-link suspension with a pull bar and stuff like that. I mean, we had 9-inch forward rear ends and stuff, and I was changing them each track. And, you know, we've done all that work, and now, you know, you see a lot of these guys coming up and these younger kids, and it's fine. They got the money to do it. They've got these guys hired in. To me, being able to know what you're doing, knowing how it works, knowing what it does when you do something, just helps your driving capabilities. It helps you know your race car better. And I think for the sport to continue to evolve and get better, I think those guys are really going to have to take the time to understand their race car and get better at that. And I think then you'll see those younger guys evolve into your Bloomquist and Davenport and Owens and all those guys going forward. Those guys started like I did. I mean, those guys started down there working on their stuff, building stuff out of the shop, building their own motors.
That's what I was going to say. I think when those kids start, like if a kid starts working on his own car and he's doing the work instead of just showing up with a helmet,
yes,
I think they learn a lot more respect that way too.
Absolutely.
They're a whole lot easier on equipment and other people's equipment, and I think it's just way better if they can be more involved in doing the work on the car.
The best way to learn is to do it.
Right.
Yeah, well,
I mean, hands-on by far is the best first instructor.
especially you know, in short track racing, there is no substitution for hammering a body out and fixing the body yourself.
Yeah.
Figuring out how to, you know, put decking back in.
Oh, absolutely.
Change A-frames, straighten A-frame mounts. I mean, there's so much that goes into it. I know you're doing a lot of street stock racing now. The next 5 years, what are your plans? You want to go back late model racing? You want to just stay what you're doing? I mean, what is the goal?
You know, I really don't have a goal. I'm just a week to week. I mean, I think this is we built this car through the winter. We sold our other car and we built this car through the winter. And I think this is really the third full race on this car.
Yeah.
And we've got our A-Mod. I think it's got about 8 nights on it. And, you know, I've got the street stock deal with a friend of mine, and I've got those cars, and like I said, I told y'all before, I don't want you to think at all that I'm being trying to braggadocious. If you don't want to race, we go race. But like I said, my mindset and my priorities has changed, so I don't really prioritize racing, you know. And so my goal is to try to be more with my family as my daughters are growing older. Try to spend more time with my wife that maybe I hadn't had in the last 10 years when we've been on the road racing, and so trying to, you know, catch up on those type of things and still race, and we're going to continue to race as long as I can be competitive, or we can as a team be competitive and still spend enough time to be able to be competitive. We're going to continue to race, and so what that'll look like 5 years from now, I don't know. It may be 3-link racing, maybe street stock racing. We don't know. We may get another Cray late model. We don't know. I mean, we've got all the stuff there to put a late model together almost. And so, you know, it just depends on, you know, I've got a lot of good guys. I've got a lot of good people on my side, and, you know, they trust, you know, what I asked for out of them, and they trust what, you know, my opinions, and we roll with it, man, and we try to be successful in what we're doing.
So we got a preacher a preacher first, family man, man of faith. Then he sprinkles in race car driver. But what's most importantly is last night he came in off the track. He had a decent run. Wasn't the best run by your standards, but had a good run. And what I like is your crew guys is like, how did the car turn? And you're like, well, it turned great, but. And then he's like, well, no but, because earlier we didn't even get past that. So you guys got a good camaraderie, you know?
Oh, yeah. We fought this car. We fought it since we put it together. It's crazy because the steering has been so stiff. I've changed the steering box. Yesterday we took all the steering components apart, from the center link, tie rod end, ball joint. I checked everything. And one thing I missed, I pulled the it's got a collapsible steering shaft. I pulled it out and thought, well, maybe it's something there. All that was good. Come to find out, where the steering rod goes through the firewall over to the steering box, it goes through a heim joint. The heim joint was locked up, and so through the. I'm telling you, it was manhandling it out there. I mean, it's like the steering pump was not working, and we worked on that. We was even going to a point where we was going to try to boost the pressure on it. Come to find out, we done that, man, and I was like, oh. This is love, man. I went from driving a dump truck to a Cadillac.
I'm not as old as I thought I was. I thought I was getting too old to do this.
Thought this heat was getting to me, huh?
Oh, it was bad. I'm telling you, I was out there. And of course, the track had some good character, especially 3 and 4.
It had real good character.
And so you get in there, and you know, the car gets upset. You know, you're trying to, you know, counter steer, and you're turning back, and you're counter steering, and you're turning back, and that transition, dude, I promise you, it's like my hands was tied with a rope. I'm struggling.
Well, you know, you got a good crew because, you know, the guys that I raced with have been like, see, you're not racing enough, you're just washed up. But your guys are like, no, it's got to be the car. You're too good for that.
Well, I think they was doubting me after we done changed everything. It's like, it can't be. It can't be. So I'm telling you, something is wrong. I'm like, something is wrong. And then we finally did that. It's like, it's night and day different. It's literally like was driving without power steering to now. Dude, it's awesome. So I think since then, you know, after the prelim feature the other night, last night, the car was really good. We, of course, passed for the lead and the caution come out.
Well, that's
and then I had a flat and finished still finished second. So I'm thankful. I praise the good Lord above. I was praying. I was telling him. It's like, how did you make it through them wrecks? I mean, there was some bad wrecks. Dude, they were stacked on top of one another. And I was like, I prayed sitting in the stadium. I was like, Lord, just let me get through this race in one piece, because I was starting mid the backpack because I didn't finish good in the heat race. And I knew we had a good car, especially after I felt the steering. But I was like, man, I'm going to have some things. I don't believe in luck. I believe in preparation and things going your way, and this is what it is. But I was like, I need some things to go my way here.
Yeah.
And so I was praying and said, Lord, help me get through this. And I went through that, and then they come in and said, I know where'd you miss it. I said, good Lord above. He's the one that helped me.
Yeah.
Well, so last night, a lot of people don't know this, but we're going to talk about it on some upcoming shows, but we were at the racetrack. It seemed like a 24-hour event because the racetrack was dealt a very bad hand, and they went out on a limb and quite frankly made stuff work where people wouldn't do it.
Right.
But there was some character, there was some rough stuff, and there was some equipment tore up. Unfortunately, that's just part of it sometimes.
Right.
But we literally had a Carrie Underwood moment. We had a Jesus take the wheel moment last night while you were racing.
Oh, man, it was, I will. Hats off to North Alabama Speedway.
Yeah.
Them suckers adapted and overcome. I mean, the track last night had a little character, but in all, the track was pretty good. It was relatively racy, and with the rain and the mud, I mean, we mud bogged into the pit stop where we're at.
Yeah.
I mean, it was bad. And so they came in and adapted. Hats off to them, man, to get this thing in and being able to have a surface like they had last night, even though with a little...
Well, that's what I said, because for some reason, a little inside baseball, they wanted me to host a driver's meeting. Out of all the guys here they could pick, they chose me.
Oh, boy.
So
surprise.
So I was at the point where they may not know what they're doing.
Right.
They want me to do this, but that's beside the point. But the racetrack here, they pulled off a feat. This is my 329th racetrack that I've been to. I've seen racetracks with a lot nicer facilities, a lot nicer equipment, give up on something that was very doable.
Absolutely.
So they did something.
Yes.
Is it a perfect event? No, it's not. But going forwards, could it be? Yes.
Absolutely.
Because they went above and beyond, and they are on this deal. We say racers race, and the guys here at North Alabama. Well, I say guys. Let me rephrase that. The women here at North Alabama. We got two sisters that do all the prep. They do all the work here. The women here have no quit in them whatsoever.
Oh,
and
I am adapted and going.
Yeah, they for everything that could have gone wrong, that has gone wrong. They got a fan in me. Let's just say that.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah, you got one here too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I've been here, I think it's one other time, and the track was good. It was racy the time I came before. It's a couple of years ago. They had the No Fender Nationals deal. And so, I was a kind of fan of the track. It's kind of got a little bit of a Western Kentucky Nebo feel with no wall.
Yeah.
But, better dirt.
Yeah,
It's got that red clay. I mean, that dirt, but you know, it's got a little bit of that feel to it. But you know, it races bigger than it looks.
Yeah.
And so they've really done a good job. I'm excited tonight to see how things go. I'm thankful that we got our car where we needed to be. I knew we had a good car, and we've kind of shown that in a couple races that we've run it, but I don't know what it was. I know what it was now.
Yeah, you did.
I know what it was, but I mean, I had my confidence levels kind of shot a little bit, and so I'm thankful that it's up. But yeah, man, I'm looking forward to tonight, and I slept a little bit better, even though it wasn't much sleep time we got home. I think we got into bed at like 4 this morning.
Well, you did better than us. Yeah. It was almost 7.
I told them, I said, we throwed the stuff in the trailer, and we were straight to the motel, and I was like, we got it. I was stripping my clothes off, going to the door, straight into the bathroom to get a shower, and in bed.
But here's the you didn't know this because you was on the track at this, but your tech session after the races was easy.
Right.
The time before, we had 4 or 5 guys think they were Conor McGregor in the tech line.
Oh no!
It was it was an all-night deal.
Sounded eventful, nevertheless.
Yeah, it was an all-night deal. We were going to need some of your higher power over there to help us out. I mean, it got a little rough pretty quick. But all things is well. Nobody got hurt. And we get it, people being upset. It's
Absolutely.
hot.
Sure.
You're going to be upset.
It happens.
It's all part of it. I know you've been with Bruceville for a long time now.
Yes.
You were almost originally one of the house cars for Bruceville.
Right.
I mean, for the most part. How important is that, and how much longer do you think they're going to do it? Because, you know, we're at a time and place where, you know, everybody is got major corporations, and he's a small guy like us still doing it. So, what do you think the future is of not you and Bruceville, but just Bruceville and the way they operate in general?
Well, Bruce told me, he said, as long as you want to race, you'll have a car. And Bruce is a man of his word, and I hate that I'm not being able to, perform as much as I would like to get his name out there. In my opinion, and I've raced all kinds of good cars, and there's a lot, not knocking any other car builder, there's a lot of good cars out there. But Bruce Nunley, throughout the racing community, holds a lot of clout within his capabilities of structuring and building race cars, fabrication. In my opinion, my dad done it for a living, and he was a perfectionist at welding. I mean, he was good at what he done, but I would put Bruce Nunley above him. I mean, he is second to none, and I think he'll continue on. I mean, he's grew up in it. He's evolved with Scott Bloomquist, through Masterbuilt, through Rayburn. He worked with CJ, so I mean, he's been around everybody and knows everybody. But with that being said, I mean, I'll stick with Bruce. He's going to stick with me, and we're going to continue to race. And I've been with him a long time, man. And I've never felt like that I got out carred.
Yeah.
I never once felt like that my race car wasn't capable of doing what it needs to do to get the job done. Now, sometimes I don't meet up to the expectations that I think I should, or maybe my decisions or the setup at the time is not, but no doubt the race car is by far more capable than what I'm putting it out to be. So
the race car is the consistent part nowadays.
I think it's kind of like, I tell everybody, racing cars is like riding a bicycle. You don't forget how to do it. You just ain't as good. You don't be able to ride wheelies and jump and all that when you don't do it for a while. So it takes a while. It takes a while to get back. And I think too, coming in Thursday, getting some laps in the car, getting adapted, and then racing yesterday. I know some of the guys that didn't like the 25 lap, which we didn't get 25 laps because of all the cautions, but didn't like the extra. I kind of enjoyed that. I liked it to get some extra laps on the car, to kind of get adapted for the track for the race tomorrow. So I'm ready. Yeah, I'm like Freddie. I'm ready tonight, man.
You got no complaints over here on this.
No, I'm ready.
Well, if there is any complaint, I'm not a big fan of 98 degrees with 96% humidity.
Yes,
I'm not a fan of that.
Right.
If we could have this race in September, let's do it.
That would be wonderful.
October. I'm even good for October.
September, or maybe even a late March or mid-April or something.
Yeah, right. But overall, I think we got a good event. We asked everybody before we get off here, who do you want to thank over the years? You've been doing it so long, it's hard to thank everybody that's helped you along the way.
Sure.
But sponsors on the car, and big shout out. Obviously, it's going to be Bruce. It's going to be one of them.
Absolutely.
But, who do you want to thank helps you get up and down the road, and most importantly, helps make Clayton Miller who Clayton Miller is?
Well, I definitely want to thank good Lord above. I can't give him enough credit because he's got me to where I'm at. He's been faithful, as the Bible says. He'll never leave us or forsake us. He's been with me the whole time and took care of me and put some really good. He's put the people that's in my life, and some of my best friends are through racing. I've got people as closer than my family that I've met through racing, and you know, Bruce is one of them. I was talking earlier today, and he's definitely been a big helper within my program. Ricky Elliott, the guy that we're partnered with here in the modified. Matt Markham, the guy, good friend of mine, we street stock race with, and my wife. I mean, she's got the girls, and I'm here.
Yeah.
You know, so you know, I don't give her enough credit. She holds the fort down while I go and. I guess they call it fun. It ain't fun this weekend, hot as it is. You know, it'll be fun. If we can pull the wind off, it'll be fun.
Well, we'll say fun, but it's not always enjoyable.
Yeah, right.
How about that?
There you go. I like that. But you know, I've had a lot of good people with me. I mean, Ray Cook and the American Racer, man, they've been with me for, I'd say, probably close to 10 years. The Matt and them, I mean, we got hooked up several years ago, and through testing at 411, man, trying to get those equivalent to overcome the Hoosiers, and I feel we have, and we've continued to be just one step above, I believe, and we're in the American racing field. So I mean, those guys, Quick Car Products has been with me, man. I don't know how, I mean, they've been with me since we won the American Modified deal in 15. So, I mean, here we are 10 years later, and they always take care of us on our electrical goods. And I mean, there's been so many people through Lexington Landscape, Danny Dew, I mean, he was with me for 10 years in my modified program. And I mean, there's just, I can't name them all. Like you said, I can't name them all. But those are just a few that stick out that, you know, I've got a lot of crew people that's been with me throughout the years, in and out, man. It's just, without all them people, man, it's just,
it's undoable.
It's undoable, and you know, it wouldn't be fun either.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been a great ride. If I quit today, I could look back and be happy on what we accomplished and be thankful for the people that I met. That's what, I look back at all my racing, and people ask, what is your biggest accomplishment? My biggest accomplishment is meeting the people that I run into in the races. That has been the best thing that's ever come out of my racing. Out of all the wins, I mean, we topped over 500 feature wins a couple of years ago. And out of all them, you got them up together, it will not even come close to the people that I met.
I'm going to tell a quick story on you real quick, because I always end with thanking sponsors, but when you said fun, and it made me think this is probably, I don't know, Boyd's Georgia's been closed down for 4 or 5 years now. So this may have been 6, 7 years ago. It was I don't know if you even remember where we're going, but it was an Ironman Modified 2-day show. And we get down there, and Clayton being Clayton, he's like, I'm bringing a B-Mod to an A-Mod race. I don't care, you know, because I'm that good. He didn't say that, but that's just the mentality that he has as he comes in. And the first night, the track rubbers up, like in the heat races. And I walk through the pits, and he's walking by, and the happy-go-lucky guy you see right now wasn't that same guy that night. So he's storming through the pits. I said, so what do you think? He goes, I think this place sucks. I raced in rubber from the first lap on. I said, okay. He goes, I'm going home. I said, all right, well, I'll see you tomorrow. And he stopped about halfway across and goes, I said I'm going home. I said, okay, I'll see you in the morning. And the next morning he come in, and I think you ran second, didn't you? You ran second in the A-Mod race?
I think we ended up running third.
Third, okay, yeah.
But still, we have a really good car for what we was running.
Yeah, what you was running again. And after the race, I said, what do you think? He goes, man, this place was fun tonight. I said, well, I thought you hated it. He goes, that was last night.
If you want to know what a racer thinks, just talk to him tomorrow, right?
Yeah.
Full story. And like Paul Harvey said, the rest of the story, right?
But yeah, I said, I thought you hated it. He goes, that was last night, man. I'm good today.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, I bet you are.
That was a good time, man.
Yeah,
I do remember that. It's been a while. I miss Boys.
Yeah, it was a good track.
Boys was a good track. I got to do some testing there with Mikey Marler several years ago, and Dale McDowell was there, and you know, we was kind of going over the track configuration and how to arc the corners and just overall the whole Boyd Speedway field.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed that. I like that place. It was just, I hate that it closed down.
Now,
But
Boyd's 411. There's a lot of good tracks
oh,
that
dude,
we've
411.
lost.
I miss 411 because that was always our Thanksgiving weekend, man.
You knew what was going on.
Oh, dude, we go to Gallenberg and race.
Well, we had Thanksgiving and then New Year's the same way.
Oh, yeah, same thing, man.
Yeah.
We get a right back to back, man.
Yeah.
We just,
Now, somebody in that area, Smoky Mountain or somebody, you might want to pick that up.
Please
You're
do.
missing a golden
I-75,
opportunity.
anybody,
Yeah,
yes.
you're missing a golden opportunity.
Yes.
Now. I mean, I'd even go as far as say Tazewell. Anybody pick
I
that
believe
up.
Tazewell could do it.
Yeah.
Volunteer?
Yeah, there's
Volunteer
all kinds.
would be a
That's
good one.
Let's make that happen. But we're not going to keep you all day. We really appreciate you coming on. It's hot. He was even polite enough to turn the air conditioner off for us so we could stand in a sauna. Make sure the noise wasn't too loud. But we really appreciate another. This is like 3 weeks in a row I've interviewed somebody from Kentucky because we do this, guys all over the country.
Sure.
But like last week we interviewed Brandon Kinzer. I was in Georgia. Now I'm interviewing you, and we're in Alabama. So I guess when I get back to Kentucky, I'm gonna meet up with somebody from Pennsylvania.
Absolutely.
That's just the way it works.
It is crazy.
But we appreciate you coming on. Thank you, sir.
Yeah,
Absolutely,
thank you,
brother.
Clayton.
See you now.
All right, everyone. That was Clayton Miller out of Elkton, Kentucky. Modified racer, been doing this for almost 30 years. When I say modified racer, modified late model, 6-time track champion between Western Kentucky and Clarksville, 2015 American Modified Series champion, over 500 feature wins. We caught up with Clayton Miller. And one thing that I really like about Clayton is he talks about how his priorities in life has changed. He's a racing preacher, and he said the last 10 years he's kind of not really neglected his family, but made sure that, racing came first. And, now that he put Christ first and he's trying to spend time with his family. Clayton Miller, hard-nosed competitor. You would never guess at the racetrack that, he is a preacher, a man of faith that not that racing gets a bad name, but he's just a tough-nosed competitor, but ultra positive personality. One of the absolute nicest, humble, most down-to-earth competitors you'll meet at the racetrack. Trading Sliders podcast is a big fan of Clayton Miller. He is a true definition of just a blue-collar racer, and we're going to go out and make it work. So that was this week's Deep Dive presented by Kentucky Clutch and Performance. Clayton Miller. Upcoming events this week, we're going to start off with the Racetrack Spotlight, brought to you by JT's Trackside and Catering. The Racetrack Spotlight this week is the Florence Speedway. Florence Speedway is a half-mile. Bleachers on both sides, high bank dirt track, absolute phenomenal facility. If you've never been to Florence Speedway, this week they have the North-South 100, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, $75,000 to win. Right there at the Florence Speedway, the North-South 100. The King family there, they put so much time and energy and pride in the facility. They have super clean bathrooms. They have a bar area on the backstretch. North-South 100 weekend, they have something where they do the after party. So they have band playing and music celebration. They feed you after the races. They have a hog roast, all kinds of different stuff. But Lucas Oil late models are there. You can catch everything on flow. It's right outside the Cincinnati area. So if you're going up for the North-South 100 and you haven't, if you've never been, there's plenty of places to stay. You're in northern Kentucky, Cincinnati area. You can hang out in downtown Cincinnati for the day and then make the short, 20-minute drive over to Florence Speedway. Well, if you've been in any type of Cincinnati traffic, it's not going to be a 20-minute drive, but it technically should be a 20-minute drive. But you can make that short drive over to Florence Speedway. And this week at the Florence Speedway, you'll see my buddy that I met last night at Lake Cumberland Speedway, Gil Lay. If you've been to any event at Florence Speedway, if you've seen the Chasing Racing van, he goes to all kinds of super late model races. He's from Central Kentucky. Ran into him last night. Got to hang out with him a little bit and talk racing before the races started at Lake Cumberland Speedway. Cool dude, lives there right outside of Ponderosa Speedway. But Gil Lay, want to give a shout out to him. He's got the Chasing Racing van, and he's got race stickers all over it. And if you've been to a dirt track in Kentucky, a major event, and you've seen him, stop by, shoot the breeze with him. He's a super cool dude. And we even gave him some Trading Sliders podcast stickers to throw on the van there. But he is a race chaser. He's one of us. He's a guy that just absolutely loves the sport of dirt track racing, stays to the very end, watches every event. But Gil Lay, super fan. We had Robert Chetty on earlier in the year, racing super fan, but Gil Lay, you'll be able to, see him this weekend at the North-South 100 up there at the Racetrack Spotlight, brought to you by JT's Trackside and Catering at Florence Speedway. But stop by the van. Tell Gil that the guys from the Trade and Slider said, stop in and tell you hi. And BS about racing, because he's a cool dude. But this week's upcoming events, Tuesday night, the IMCA Harris Clash is at Boone, Iowa. It's going to be on IMCA TV Tuesday night. The Harris Clash is a big modified event. I think it pays $5,000 to win. They'll have upwards over 100, 150 IMCA modifieds, some of the most competitive racing in all of the land. IMCA modifieds there at Boone, Iowa. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, the Extreme Outlaw Midgets for the Appalachian Midget Week. Wednesday night, they will be at Action Track USA in Kutztown, Pennsylvania. The whole Appalachian Mountain Speed Week will be on Dirt Vision. But one of the racetracks that, is on my bucket list, been to 329 of them. I'm looking to make 330 soon. But Kutztown, Action Track USA, the Extreme Outlaw Midgets on Wednesday. On Thursday, they make their way over to Linda Speedway, another quarter mile there in the land of, monster racetracks. They make their race over there. And then Friday night, they are at Path Valley Speedway in Pennsylvania. Last night, the announcer for the American All-Star Series, my good buddy Peter Neuter, we talked to each other about racetracks and stuff, killing time during the rain delay. And I told him that he needs to go to Hobstadt, and he told me that I need to go to Path Valley. So Path Valley Speedway Friday night for the Extreme Outlaw Appalachian Midget Week, and they'll wrap it up Saturday night at one of the baddest racetracks in the country, the 6 Mile High Bank. Also on the gotta go list, the Clyde Martin Speedway there in Pennsylvania. It is unbelievable. This is the event a few years ago where you seen Kyle Larson and you seen Christopher Bell run up on the fence and come back down to get around in a crash car. Video went viral, but looking forward to keeping up with the Appalachian Mountain Midget Week this week. Rob Kleffer, one of the great voices of all sports, will be on the call all week for that on Dirt Vision. And like I said, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, the North-South 100. If you're anywhere within driving distance of Florence, Kentucky, make your way to the North-South 100. If not, you can catch all that on Flow. $75,000 win Saturday night, 100 lap North-South 100. Locally, this weekend, we have the Circle City Raceway has the Midwest 410 sprint cars and the mods. You can find them on Circle City TV. That's Friday evening. Saturday, we don't really talk about a whole lot of pavement racing, but the USAC Silver Crown is going to the world-famous Salem Speedway. The Kenyan Midgets will be on the card with that, also Legends, but the world-famous Salem Speedway, the big cars, the champ cars, would do battle for 100 laps on the high banks. One of the most anticipated races on USAC Silver Crown Champ Car schedule. But it's been a long time. I think it's been 5 or 6 years since the Champ Cars have been at Salem Speedway, so looking forward to that. And Saturday, Paragon Speedway has the Midwest 410 sprint cars and the Huntley Wing 305 sprint cars. So that's always a good show at the Paragon Speedway Saturday. And if you're in the mountains in eastern Kentucky, the 191 Speedway has a $2,000 win UMP Modified Madness show. Expecting a good turnout for that because I think most of the Modified Touring Series are off this week after the last couple weeks of beating up and down the road. So Central Kentucky will have a big modified race at the 191 Speedway. So that's all the upcoming events this week. And, get out and support a local racetrack. Even if you can go to a major event, not so major event, get out and support a racetrack. We have too many racetracks closing. As it gets harder and harder and it gets tougher and tougher for these racetracks, to make it, get out and support. Weather is nice. There's no reason not to go now unless you just don't want to. But get out and support your local racetrack. We appreciate everyone each and every week giving us a shout out, sharing our page, retweeting our page, sending people to our page. Our numbers are growing every week, and we greatly appreciate that. Kurt and I, when we started this show, we didn't know how many listeners that we'd get. We didn't know how long we were going to do it. We didn't know anything. We just knew we were going to talk about racing because we love it. And here we are 45 weeks in a row So thank you to everyone that follows along the show. And we say all the time, word of mouth is the best form of advertisement. So tell somebody about us. And if you're a new listener this week, and you like us, we appreciate it. And if you don't, that's okay. We understand that. But if you're a fan of auto racing, tell somebody about that. But thank you. And until next time, we'll be trading sliders.